Hey everybody, so excited to have you back again today in the second training of my three-part UPswing training series for health coaches. I can see there's a lot of you on here who were with us last week, and if you weren't, make sure you get over and watch the replay of last week's because today's definitely going to follow on from where we were. And for those of you who don't already know me, my name is Amanda Daly and I'm a business mentor for health coaches. I shared a lot about my story last week of growing my health coach business. So, do pop over there so I don't have to repeat all of that for everyone today. Although, of course, through today's training, I will bring a lot of that up again. So I'm sure you'll, get to know me better in that way. And, for me, health coaching has such a power to truly improve people's health worldwide. And, we started this conversation last week that this just isn't going to happen if health coaches don't choose to make this new profession work. There aren't too many health coaches out there showing how it's already been done so far because it's such a new industry. And this can leave us like feeling in the lurch of how do I really get clients? How do I really make money? What should I charge? Am I good enough? All these kind of things. We've got the starter business training as part of the health coaching, depending on, which training you did. But it tends to be a little light on, just to get things up and running. And to really make a change in the world through health coaching, which I know all of you, if you're on this call today, are feeling that drive, like you really want to get this message out to family, friends, communities, and worldwide. It does take us to have to drive this forward collectively as a group. And so we're going to continue that conversation today. I think, it's near impossible to make a true difference. Money, what should I charge? Am I good enough? All these kind of things. Why am I hearing myself back? I'm not sure. Can a few people just put in the chat box and just let me know that you're hearing it fine from your end? I'll carry on assuming you are. So, it's near impossible, right? We talked about this last week. To make a real difference in the world that needs to happen, it needs to, it's a ripple effect that's going to create change. Change doesn't just happen in the world overnight because a couple of people decide, oh, I want to get healthy. It takes momentum, it takes dedication, and it takes a tribe of people continually showing up, stepping up, doing the work behind the scenes before anyone else feels it. But over time it does create that ripple effect. It goes out and will create a shift in the world's health. But we're the ones who have got to do this. And one of the things that's holding health coaches back the most is just playing way too small. In the fear of selling, fear of if it's even possible to make money, fear to charge what health coaching is worth. Behind these fears are not only our own issues of self-worth or deserving, these come to the surface pretty quickly when we start to put ourselves out into the world in a big way. And what I have found is even more so is this area that most of us have never even thought to look into until we start, working for ourselves in this way, is our beliefs around money. And I don't think many health coaches, got into health coaching to become millionaires. I don't think that's the drive. And so for the sake of today's conversation, it goes without saying to me that if you're on the call, I know that where you're coming from is first and foremost from your heart, wanting to change, people's lives, wanting to improve health. I know that that piece is there. So when we start talking about money, which is a new topic for a lot of people to start exploring, it can trigger people's beliefs, etc. Know that I already know that that piece is there. Your integrity of what's brought you to be a health coach, to want to know what's the next step, get on a training like this. Your heart's in it, your drive's there, and now it's time to talk about bringing that money piece in to really start to heal our own wealth, basically, and our own wealth beliefs. So most of us, I think many people anyway, got into health coaching initially to heal their own health issue and to become of service to others. But one thing I've realized with great certainty is to make a real impact in the world via health coaching, we need to take our business seriously, and then we must learn to get comfortable receiving the money we're worth to make this bigger impact. Like, playing small is in fact not only harming your own bank balance and your energy. Like, no one's healthy on all levels when they are struggling financially and full of stress as a result. But playing small really is actually having a detriment on the world's health. And we're going to explore that even more today. Let me just check in the chat box. Cool. Thanks, guys. So where was I? The biggest thing I hear with clients is that they fear that their own clients won't have money, or that they're not going to be paid, or no one would pay that for health coaching. There's a lot of different iterations. And just to clarify before I go forward, because like I said, I won't talk about all of my story, it might be helpful here just to say, I did grow my own successful health coaching business quite quickly. And then I've gone on, as a result of that natural story of what unfolded, more and more people wanting to know how I'd done it, more and more health coaches coming to me to improve their health, but then wanting to know how they've done their business, how I built my business. So I've now, when I refer to talking with my clients now, I've worked with 35, might actually be over 40 now, clients one-on-one to get their health coaching businesses making money. And so this is why I can bring this training to you, because I see the same fears and the same beliefs coming up time after time. And they're the same ones that when I break through them or help my clients break through them for themselves, that's when they start getting results, which is not only in the way of more clients, more money, more confidence in their actual coaching, but obviously as a result, the more people they're helping, that ripple effect actually starts in the world. So when I do say the biggest fears that I hear are around money and thinking that people don't have money, the truth is, if something serious happened to someone's health tomorrow, they would probably find money for it. In fact, I think most people are already finding money for things like takeaway meals at night, a big Friday night out drinking, frivolous things like that, or things that normally they're spending money on to cover pain that they don't even want to face. And the truth is, like, no one's educated them yet of why they should value their health and showing them the impact on their lives, not just their actual physical health, but mentally, spiritually, how happier they can be when they get on top of these things. And so for the wider society, all they know is, I'll spend money on alcohol, or I'll spend money on takeaways. That will be less stress. I won't have to cook, that kind of thing. And so there's a big message that needs to be shifted. And that's what we talked about a bit last week with advertising, getting your message out there in the way that people are used to hearing new ideas. And ultimately, like, that's the first and foremost job of a health coach, and our job collectively, to start spreading that message wider and to get other people excited about it. So we did talk, last week about some smart marketing and stepping up into thinking in the way of a business owner to get others excited about health in the same way that, like, some of my old clients, like Coca-Cola, say, would get people excited about drinking toxins. Like, okay, we can make advertising bad for that, or we can use the positive ways coming from an authentic place to get our message out there. And again, this is for what I said before, like, we can play small and complain that clients just don't drop in our lap, or we can choose to show up and be seen and start getting a message to people so that it spreads. And to do this, you need to inspire your clients or potential clients and show them what's possible. And what I've discovered as I've gone on to unravel the money pieces and money beliefs, etc., in my life, is that actually the biggest inspiration is going to come to your clients when you're able to truly walk your talk and, like, live what you're teaching. And if you want to play full out in your health, the truth, and in fact, all areas of life, but for the sake of talking about health right now, you're really going to want money to do so. And if you're going to want your message out there big time, like, it's going to take money to do so as well. And so this isn't the place to freak out. This is the place to understand and to start this conversation, open this up today, that we are meant to receive money. We are meant to receive the money so that we can help spread this message. We're not supposed to struggle. Like, we haven't got this great desire and this great urge to get out and help people in their health, and then that's not supposed to just be cut off from us and not possible. And this is where, like, it's time to start, expand on our conversation from last week, that it does start with a commitment to valuing health coaching, valuing your own services, because when you value yourself, and we're going to talk about this doesn't happen overnight, when you start to actually own and value and charge what you're worth, that is sending the message to the wider communities that this is something to value. This is something that's worthwhile. This isn't a, flash sale thing that isn't worth anything. This is going to be a tremendous benefit, and this is why you should listen. So today then, I'm very excited to present the content of the second training series, where we are going to talk about getting your wealthy healthy, as I like to call it. And I'm also going to share some insights here today on what it took. I shared last week again how I was able to get my health coaching business to consistent 5K months and beyond. But I'm actually going to share the deeper side of that money story today, and some of the key reasons that I've actually been able to grow that coaching business from 5K months to $50,000 months. And it's not obviously just what we've been taught, straight out of a box. There's a lot more that goes into that. So that's why I've pulled together today's training series just for you. And so, I just want some of this stuff to get out in the community. Like, there's so many things, especially around money, that we've made bad. And that's the conversation I really want to start exploring, if we can be open to new ideas around money and getting our wealthy healthy. Again, at the end of today's training session, just like last week, I've allowed plenty of time to answer your own personal questions about your health coaching business. The main reason I wanted to offer this extended 3-part training is to really connect with you and support you as best I can. And I want to hear about your problems. I want to hear about the struggles. And just like last week, I want to hear about the positive stories as well, because there's so many positive things going out in the health coaching community, and it can be very easy for people to jump in things like Facebook groups or whatever and just share the struggles. And we need to learn from what is happening and what's possible to really move this shift forward in health coaching now. So I'm happy to answer all those questions at the end. I've also got a very large pile here of questions that people have emailed me during the week, so I'll get through as many of those as I can, which is going to be exciting. And for those of you as well, I've had quite a lot of questions about how you can work with me to grow your own business. And I'm going to share with you just really briefly at the end. I don't have details yet, but there is an exciting new way that's going to be coming soon. I am fully booked for one-on-one clients, so that's not an option at the moment. But I'll just share a few ways that are going to be upcoming for those of you who've been asking. So on that note, as we go through the training, stay active in the call, write down your notes, start getting them into the chat box. Just like I said last time, I try not to look at the chat box because I do get distracted. I want to answer everyone's questions. But Jo, my VA, is on the call. If there's anything urgent, she's there for you, and she'll put links, etc., in there as we go. So keep an eye on that. So let me just have a drink before we start. Right, let's get into this money conversation. Honestly, if I had heard someone talking about wealth a few years ago, I would have completely turned my back on it. Like, I don't even think I would have been on this call. I had every, judgment on wealth. It was dirty, or it was snooty, or wealth was certainly not, in my journey to becoming a health coach, something that I valued at all. Well, said that I value is probably more true. In fact, when I left my, what I coined at the time, high-paying job in advertising to become a health coach, I genuinely couldn't have cared less about that loss of income. I had a beautiful picture in my head of just how calm and relaxing, choosing this new life, this simple life, and that I was going to give up on life's luxuries for a little while. The truth is that meant squashing of my desires, my joy, my pleasure, but that wasn't even on my radar at the time, to be honest. And the truth is, yeah, when I left that job, I did drop a lot of previous stress. A lot of my health a lot of my health issues did fall away with that. And that was very much part of what birthed my health coaching business, and understanding what had gone on through stress and just seeing like a complete shift in my health. So no doubt at all, stress needed to come out of my equation. But the piece that I shut off or made bad actually was the money. And I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but if I'm really, really honest, the truth of that was because I knew it wasn't going to be there anymore. And so instead of admitting that I would actually like that or feel comfortable, I just decided no, the right thing to do is, the good thing to do is not need money. And I've seen so many clients do this, leave their jobs to do the better thing. Go work in a health food shop for $8 an hour because then they're helping people on their health. And equating, how do I put this? There really is actually, I mentioned this last week, an ancient archetype of the struggling healer. And that goes with that mindset that to be a good person, especially if I'm going to be a healer or in health, that I should just get by. And today I'm going to introduce you to another archetype, which archetypes are like a part of us, kind of on a spiritual level. And I'm going to introduce you to a new part that is meant to serve from a place of freedom, not struggle. And this will make a much larger impact on the world doing so. And although I'm not going to get you to do so, I'm sure if I got everyone to put their top values in the chat box, I'd say that a lot of you have freedom as a top value. It tends to be what draws us to this kind of career for ourselves, but also wanting to help free other people. And again, the truth is, struggle, if it's in the area of finances, is not free. And, we know, depending on the different health coaching training, but the one that I did very much focused on primary foods. And that's having all elements of your life healthy, not just because you have a green smoothie, or not just because you exercise. What's happening in your relationships, what's happening in your career. And if you completely shut off or have limiting beliefs, which I'd say everybody does around money at some level, then you're shutting off that money channel, and that smooth wheel of life that's meant to go around has a pretty big dip in it, whether or not you're conscious of it or not. So I want to talk about this new archetype. It's not new, but perhaps new to the conversation for you today, and that's the queen energy. Now, a queen is not a princess. It's not about being showy or I deserve beautiful things, or, it's not that kind of energy. The queen energy comes from a very high vibration. She cares for others. She knows how to care for herself and knows what it takes to care for herself. She knows what she needs to do a good job, to serve others, and she doesn't feel bad or unworthy in any way about asking for it. She receives what she truly does deserve and knows that she actually needs that flow of abundance to come through to serve her, to be able to serve others. And that's a very, very different energy. It frees blocks on the queen energy. The queen, we all have all of these archetypes, by the way. But it frees the blocks. And what it actually does is lifts the frequency. I don't know if that's a new concept for people here or not, but literally our bodies are energy and there's a different frequency. And clearing things like blocks and other areas as well, again, back to the primary foods wheel, it actually makes that queen of much higher service to those around her. And this is where that energy of letting go of struggle, letting go of mindset beliefs, not just around money, also in areas that we'll talk about next week, like I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy, or I'm not ready. All of those blocks in yourself are not only making you struggle, but they're actually like holding you back from the awesomeness, really, that you can help your clients with as a coach. And, you know, that energy, when you move into that, is so much more powerful as a coach than simply telling someone about introducing a green smoothie to their diet. But the reason I even feel to bring this conversation to this community is because I believe that the more that we've worked, like it always comes from one angle, mind, body, spirit. And so many health coaches have done this awesome job of working on their health. And it's just cleared up like so much of that frequency in themselves that they are now ready to receive. And it's why often then you'll hit the next block or the next block. And having cleared a lot of that stuff, and I'm sure a lot of you have had that experience as you clear on a physical level, like the emotional level will come up as well. And, you know, it's time. The money pieces have come as your next step to look at. And so, you know, for the most part, these money things are purely just outdated beliefs. They're not your fault. They're not my fault. They're, you know, they're not our parents' fault either. They're society. They're it's our countries, our cultures. But just like the beliefs, you know, we're going to look a lot at beliefs next week. But, you know, opening the conversation today to possibility that perhaps there might be other ways to look at money. I think a lot of us have heard like money's just energy or something like that, and I never used to get that. But really, now I really understand money comes as fuel for something that you truly desire. And most of us have made a desire or something we'd really love in our life, bad or wrong, truthfully, because we've either been told that that's not for us, that's for other kinds of people, that's for someone else, or because we don't believe we deserve it, or we think that's for rich people, or we think that's extravagant. But if it's a desire that's truly in you, not someone else's, but a desire that's truly in you, then it's meant for you. And all you're doing if you ignore that because of your beliefs around money is shoving it down and shoving down your potential. And those are the pieces that are actually supposed to come out to make you a great coach, to bring out your uniqueness in your personality, to bring out your uniqueness in your branding, like we talked about last week, in your programs, so they're different from everyone else's. It's being willing to see, what else would I like to experience in life? And so this is the new conversation. You know, it's a little bit different, but I want to share that when we get this wealthy, healthy, don't get me wrong, this doesn't mean that just overnight, this just applies to health coaching. And because you want a new health coaching business, at the same time as you start looking at your money, that doesn't necessarily mean that the money starts flowing to the health coaching business. Because like we talked about last week, there's business structures and marketing that need to be set up in that business. Yes, I love it when an update tries to happen on my computer while I'm talking. Stay. You know, I wanted to share that actually when you start to heal this money piece in yourself and get your wealthy, healthy, look, it's like when you give up sugar, you never would have considered that 10 years ago. And now you've done it, or you've done a detox, and your energy shoots through the roof. When you drop your money beliefs, or drop the belief that it's not for you, or that having money would be bad, or that I could never do that, when you start to unravel these pieces, and they're deep, it's like doing the detox. You'll actually start to see that money will start coming to you. And part of this is being able to receive. As females especially, receiving is actually part of our feminine nature, but most of us aren't very good at it. And that's where it comes back to this worthiness, deserving, what should I be charging, etc. So before we go forward, I just wanted to talk about this idea that when you do start to work on getting your wealthy healthy, sometimes money might come in unexpected ways. And because I work with clients ranging from either like still studying in their health coaching and wanting to get their businesses up, they might not have those channels ready. And then other people are further along. And people further along do say new clients are just turning up and, you know, actually people wanting to pay for the double priced program all of a sudden, all that kind of thing. I just wanted to share a couple of stories because this is relevant even if you're not up to that part of your business. One of my clients in particular, you know, kind of, oh, this is happening and this is happening. I didn't get any clients. This was a while back. Oh, and then she said, but I've been working on the wealth consciousness. Oh, by the way, I won't go into the whole story, but miraculous thing happened where I never have to pay rent for the rest of my life. It's like, what? You know, which had then completely shifted how she was going to run her business and set it up, because all of a sudden it wasn't, oh, the struggle, I've got to pay rent and desperation. You know, another client in particular left the job, going to commit to health coaching, started doing all the wealth consciousness work, and all of a sudden her job turned up 2 days a week instead of 5 for double the money she was on 5. But one in particular that I wanted to share on today's call, because a few people asked me questions during the week about leaving like hands-on businesses like you know, like massage therapies and that kind of thing to become a health coach. And so I wanted to share one of my clients. She has a massage business, and she came to me because she wanted to introduce health coaching into her business, but really she wanted to then take it into just health coaching. And when we got into why she wanted to do that, it was because she wanted to make more and work less. And everyone wants the online business model that kind of works for them. You know, and we talked through just like last week, you still need to get clients in the early days while you're building that kind of online following. So with her, we worked on her wealth consciousness together, along with coming up with the health coaching program. But over time, her focus really dropped on needing to reinvent the wheel and have this new career as a health coach. Because she just started cleaning up all these beliefs that she had around money and having to work hard for it and whether she deserved it and all these different things. And her current massage business has now doubled her monthly income, like very naturally. She's working less hours. She's spending more time with her family, much more time on herself. And now this like detox health coaching program, which was on the side that we were building, she's found a way to bring that in with her current clients. So again, we're just working. This is a very small town that she lives in. And so she's already doubled it, but actually now that this detox program is coming in, it's significantly lifting her income again. And we were just talking about this week, how she didn't need to reinvent the wheel of what she was doing to bring in health coaching. It was more getting the wealthy, healthy, and understanding. Like, she's working less to do all of this. You know, different things that have come in her business and structures and all this kind of thing. So she will be bringing in more and more coaching along the way as well. And look, over time, as we're growing the online piece for her, that might completely shift over there. But what I'm really trying to illustrate here is when you start working on this wealth piece, extra money can start flowing from different angles. And I really advise, even if you're still studying and not ready to build the business or wherever you're at, get working on this piece. Because then when you do get the structures of the business in place, that channel will be open for you to start receiving more money. So needless to say, with that client, she's, you know, well surpassed her original goals, which she thought was one way. But more importantly, like, she's out of the struggle. And that's the piece where I'm saying, like, you know, again, I bring it back to diet, how a detox feels hard at first, but actually once you're going, your energy's higher and everything, like, that's out of struggle. And it's the same with letting go and detoxing your money beliefs. So for me, this piece, this money piece, is such a missing part in most business trainings. And it's the key reason. Yes, there's structures. Yes, I know how to market. And I've learned from, you know, top mentors in the online world. Yes, I've worked at a lot of these beliefs that we're going to talk about next week. But working on getting my wealthy healthy I would put as the key reason that I've been able to grow my business from, you know, those initial 5K months up and beyond, like 50K months, etc. And you can't do any of those three without the other. But again, this piece is just so important. And, you know, I was actually talking to someone last week who had contacted me wanting to do some work with me. And she was kind of funny. She was going to go ahead and work with me anyway. It wasn't about a money discussion. She said to me, "Can I just be cheeky?" And I was like, "Yeah, what do you want to ask?" And she was like, "I'm not questioning your prices. I'm just wondering, like, how did you get to charge more than other business coaches I've seen or whatever?" I love it when that question comes up. Look, there's no, you know, right answer to that. The truth is, you have to charge where you're at, and I'm going to talk to that about that in a minute for your businesses. But there's other factors, right? Like, I'm fully booked for 6 months in advance at the moment. There's a real conscious choice in my application process where I only work with people who are really serious about making change in their business. And the truth is that, you know, she gave me some examples of other coaches, and everyone's got a different skill set. But this getting your wealthy, healthy piece is everything. It's the difference in, it's not about charging a lot, we're going to talk about that, but it's the difference in being able to receive the money. And there's so many intricacies in health coaching when you go to put yourself out there and help people in a health realm that are more deeper ingrained than just purely business coaching, which is, you know, set up a landing page, set up a website, that kind of thing. So that's where I know that how I coach people is absolutely unique, especially in the health coaching world. There's another little secret that I told her, and I'm just going to share it for the sake of today, is that I know one of the biggest secrets of all is investing in yourself. And it's an energetic thing, and it's not just investing in your business, and yes, we all understand investing in yourself, but when you truly say yes and are willing to put your money where your mouth is on you and your desires, those desires that you've shoved down, or we've all shoved down, like I shared before, basically saying yes to your purpose, there's a huge energy, I can't really put it any other words, you know, than that comes forward when you do that. There's support that comes forward for you. These rewards, I'm going to call them, you know, are different for all clients. Some people, things that have come through the next day after investing. Myself, when I've invested in my business training, etc., shocks me still sometimes the thing that will come the very next day, you know, of that equal amount. And that's beyond what I can go in to you with you here today. But money's energy is really, you know, what I'm trying to say. And when you invest in your business, you're investing in you. And there's a lot of questions that I'll get to at the end about how much you should invest in your business, where, what are the mistakes, you know, and we'll get to that. The reason I mention this right now is that while I love seeing my clients grow their businesses, when their businesses start to thrive and start to bring in that income, etc., the truth is what has me bouncing out of bed, like, you know, to work with these people and love working with them, is seeing the woman that they become through this up-leveling. Seeing the woman they become when they say yes to their desires, yes to their business, yes to their purpose, yes to their message, and start letting go of all those fears, including the money blocks that have been holding that back. That is just so much beyond being able to you know, put out a financial statement that says, oh, I made $5,000 a month. Like, that's lovely, and to me that's a reflection of the inner work, but it's not what excites me. It's the process that it takes to be able to do so. So, on that note, I bet some of you are hoping that I'm going to say, you know, as I know there's a lot of online courses out there saying right now, you know, saying, right, time to charge high. But the only way I'm not going to do that, to be honest, you know, you know, it's not that you should leap out of the gate and start charging high prices by any means in your business. You know, like I said, I'm sure some of you were hoping I'd give you the magic formula to start doing that. It's not that. The only way you're going to consistently receive clients in your business is when you are in full alignment with your own pricing and when where you're at. Excuse me. So by your pricing, I mean exactly where you are at today. And, you know, you've just heard me talk about some of the more kind of woo-woo sides of things, you know, money mindset affecting where you're at, all that kind of thing. But there is a truth that where you're at, there's no right or wrong, but today is where you should be charging. And this happens when people both undercharge as well as overcharge. And the biggest block here, like if you can take nothing else away from today, is to stop comparing yourself to other people's pricing. It doesn't matter if the local doctor charges $50. It doesn't matter if another health coach charges $250 like an hour or whatever. This is the place, everything, I mean, you should always play your own game, but this is the place you must. You must play your very own true game right here, today, right now. You know, I work with my clients to find their own correct pricing frequency, as I call it, but you can do this at home, you know, in a simple way, just what feels right to you to charge. You know, I get this both ways with clients. Most people don't want to charge enough, but some people have learned, you know, in different online courses or through mentors or by comparison that they should be charging up here. And it's the main reason they're not putting themselves out there, because they don't believe people will pay it. And if they're honest, they don't think they're worth it yet. And probably straight out of the gate, it's different for everyone. That's probably true. So you can sit there for 6 months waiting for your first client to pay you like, or you can just get in the game and start, you know. This, well, I'm not going to go into it today. It also does apply to how many sessions are in your package and different packages that you're offering. Some people just aren't ready to coach a 6-month program, and that will be the piece that's holding them back. So the key here is to play exactly where you are today. You're better to sell 2 programs this week for free if you genuinely don't have the confidence yet. And then in a month, you'll have like 2 clients that you've been coaching, you're starting to see the results, you'll feel better, you'll have feedback. Much better to do that this month than sit on the sidelines another month waiting for someone to pay you what you know you're worth. You know, it goes both ways. There's like people who, oh, I'm not really worth that. And then there's the other like stubbornness kind of side of, but I'm worth it. To give you an example of this, when I was health coaching, when I first started out, I actually can't remember exactly what the rate was. But when I got to a certain point, which in my eyes in those days was fully booked, someone with a burnout story likes to create stories like that. I was at a certain stage, I was working with a mentor. In fact, 2 people around me at that time were like, Amanda, like everything in your business is going so well, you should be charging double. And that excited me. It was scary, but it was like, ooh, could I like doing the numbers, oh my gosh, I could make this much money. And I doubled my prices and the whole thing crumbled. You know, like I got no clients for another month or so. My confidence then was not shattered, but you know, this is the journey of being an entrepreneur, by the way. There's always the next lesson. But I didn't believe in it. I didn't think I was worth that. I wanted to. It sounded exciting, but I didn't really at that time. And therefore, neither did the people I was selling the programs to. So you've got to just charge where you're at. How I ended up lifting those rates on that package was actually by accident. I remember accidentally, let's say it was $150 a session. Let's say it was $300 a month. I think I accidentally started saying it was $350 a month. In the next couple of clients, and I actually went, oh, I've been charging a bit more. I didn't even realize, and no one had said anything, and it was selling again. But for example, I think it was like $500 a month or something that I'd tried to jump to, and it just didn't work at all. So there's no point trying to charge anything else, and there's no rush. Like you're not in a race with someone else. You charge where you're at, and And that, like I said, to do at home in an easy way is, does it feel good in your body when you charge a certain amount or when you say a certain number? Do you believe that others will pay that much? You have to have the frequency from both sides. And what I do watch is, the reason I often talk about 5K months for health coaches in a lot of the webinars I've done before is because that's a number that takes creation on this level. It takes being honest about your pricing. It takes letting go of your money mindset. It takes building the business. And 5K is a really good number that on a certain formula that I've got, like with X amount of clients and, your own pricing to get there. But the truth is you don't just leap from 5 to 10K. There's a process every time. It's when you really have let go of more of the money pieces, you really are available to receive more. You really are more confident in the results you're getting because you've taken those clients and you're getting the results, you're getting the feedback, you're refining your program. And all of these pieces come in. And what I find is that for myself and for my clients, you naturally then feel, like I said, for me it was an accident to lift my prices. It just naturally happens. And there's a second piece that always comes with that. You outgrow your prices, and then you have to do the mindset belief work again to believe that your clients will pay it. So it's not as simple as saying, oh, the health coaching school told me to charge $75, and it's really not as simple as me sitting here today. And, it's probably the most common question I got during the week was, how much should I be charging to start with? There's so many factors, and we're going to talk about what you're an expert in or not next week, but there's so many factors on what you can be charging. At the end of the day, the truth is, the truth is that you confidently sell a price that you believe in. So you're much better to get in the game and allow that to unfold naturally and keep doing it. Like, get 4 clients this month at that price and then keep going. And the idea is not to start, for me to say only charge for free forever or charge $50 an hour forever. I'm just saying get in the game, and you don't have to stay there long. You'll find that yourself. This has an impact on health coaches in a big way. Our confidence, strength, power as a coach, a leader who's truly walking their talk, all of these things, how money links to desires, I mentioned it a little earlier. It's far too much to go into on a webinar. But for example, when a health coach freely gets to eat organic food, she gets to take time out for healing practices, massages, acupuncture. She gets time to get proper rest. She gets time, for some people as a mum, they might want support with their kids, or people might want support around the house. They get to go on holidays and have fun and enjoy like good, healthy entertainment, all those kind of things. Whether it's the latest like food conference, you want to learn more, a business conference, a yoga retreat in Bali or something like that. The truth is money is purely fuel for these things. And again, to wrap up what I said before, it's your choice to choose those. And when you've got that desire to go for those things and you start linking that with the business pieces, this is where you can actually step into your power over time and receive more and more. So ultimately, I wanted to start with a grounded truth there, that you've got to start where you are. But the key reason that it's important for me to train health coaches on expanding their money mindset, and it needs to unravel, is due to the bigger picture, I believe, of our purpose here as health coaches. As health coaches, it's our job to help shift the way the world currently values their health. And if we continue to undercharge, we continue to hide in the shadows, play small, people are watching, and they're never going to take health coaching seriously. It's really time for us, step by step, not trying to leap, but step by step, to step up collectively and do the work it takes to get ourselves shining in our own health and wealth, and let that be the ripple effect for what's possible for our clients, and let that over time become the message that health is something that's worth investing in. And you are worth investing in. And we're going to work on the limiting beliefs, etc. next week. But ultimately, this all starts with your own value and self-worth as a coach. And when you start valuing that you do have great skills, that you can make great change in your clients' lives, which, by the way, we'll talk about it next week, but I just need to say it, like, it's pretty hard to get. It's chicken and egg. You can't really get that confidence until you're in the game. So again, if it needs to be free, get out and get your clients. I just wanted to give you a wee little example of this money piece. And just to show that getting your wealthy healthy is actually a health issue, a fundamentally spiritual health. Let's pretend that you're going to come visit me here in Australia. Or if you're in Australia, maybe you're going to go to the US or Europe, like somewhere far away. And you get on, let's like do a visualization, whatever feels good for you. And you get to the airport, you got a couple of hours, crowds, lines, you get on the flight, you get in that economy seat, you get shoved in the middle of the back row between two really big people, you've got not much room, you know that the food is going to be terrible, they didn't let you bring your own on, you've got a 24, 30-hour flight to come visit me or wherever you're going, and the aircon's going and the lights are like, you've only been on there 5 minutes and you're miserable. And just picture how that feels in your body, knowing that that is, you're not even going to be able to pretty much move, like you've got to like hopefully wake up the person next to you to go to the toilet, like it's 24, 30 hours of that up ahead. See how that feels in your body, if you're really honest. And then picture how that's going to feel in your body when you arrive at the destination. Not only are you now completely out of time zone whack and jet lagged all over the place, you're dehydrated, you've had horrible food, you've had no sleep. How does that feel in your body? And now I want you to, it's hard for me to do this, like when I, obviously one-on-one clients are on the phone and my group programs, and one of the upcoming masterminds I'm going to do, it's going to be all live video coaching, so I'd literally be able to, you know, help you work through this, but I'm going to assume, because I can't see you at all, you know, I now want you to check in. If you were now at the beginning of that flight and the air steward came over and said, look, you know, I hope not to inconvenience you, but we need to move you to first class, you know, would you be all right with that? And you get moved up to first class, huge seat, there's a bed, you can lie down, you've got like the beautiful food coming to you, the air's all right, like it's actually kind of nice. How does that feel in your body? Does it feel more expansive? Does it feel more open and free? Taking out the fact that it doesn't matter where it came from, that it was given to you. It's not about the money today. We're just talking about the different experience. And, you know, this is an example of where we shove down our desires or what would feel good for us in our body. Because I don't think there would be many people who would tell me that it feels literally on a cellular level in your body better to be crammed in that back seat with the like horrible aircon and the horrible food, like, you know, no sleep for all that time. I don't think it's, maybe I'm wrong, but for me anyway, it's not possible to feel so much more vibrant and alive and expanded if you were moved to first class. And again, you know, this might challenge some people's money mindset. I get it, and I see it online all the time. You know, people, oh, I wouldn't spend money like that's a waste of money on that, etc. But actually, the minute someone gets upgraded to business class or first class, they're the first person on Facebook putting up a post. Oh my gosh, look what I've got with the boarding pass. Like, come on, it feels good. And so it's not for me to say go out and book a first class flight when you don't have the money. I do get the reality, but I do want to show that there is a different frequency that's going on in your body depending on what you are able to do in different situations. And that does have an impact on what goes out the world. It's all tied up in our mindsets and everything, but it really is affecting our body when we're shoving down things that feel good to us because we don't have the money or we don't think we can have the money. And look, the truth is sometimes we don't have the money, but it's more the mindset that we can't make the money, is that what really needs to come into play here. It takes money to build a business. It takes money to work with like top mentors. It takes money to advertise, and it actually takes money to step into the life of freedom that you do desire. So I could talk, I could do 10 webinars on money, and it's a key reason that it's a large part of my private coaching, and it will be a large part of the new program that I'm going to offer as well. It's absolutely pivotal to, like, I hope people are feeling a little triggered by this as much as I'm like, oh, I don't want to kind of worry about that for now, but it's a good sign. If you're like, that's not for me, or that's not true, whatever, it's a good sign, and that's your edge to go explore this week. Go see, even just challenge yourself, what if that wasn't true? What would happen? Just play with it. And so the final piece I want to talk about today in regards to money is selling. I talked last week about our fear of selling ourselves as a coach and not feeling expert enough. We're going to go in much greater depth next week into that fraud feeling that health coaches often feel when they start out. But today, let's just talk about selling to start with. And selling does not have to be sleazy. Someone did email over the week and asked me how to overcome their fear of selling. And again, obviously, sales training is not something either that can be covered in 15 minutes, but this is something I spend weeks with clients in this new program as well, covering sales. But I wanted to share a quote that I remember a mentor saying a while ago to, again, start to shift some perceptions. Sales is not something you do to someone. You do it for someone. Sales is you're giving them the gift of a solution to a pain point they had. And, wouldn't you feel angry if a friend had a solution for something you were in pain on and didn't tell you about it? In fact, I'd almost argue that if you're afraid to share your services to those who could truly benefit of it, on some level you're actually harming them. Or to be more accurate, you're holding something back from them that could actually be supporting them. And it's purely because of this fear of sales and being sleazy and slimy that holds people back. And it's a real shame. I will briefly touch on the topic because a few people asked me. I teach my clients a process called discovery sessions instead of health histories. And they're exactly that. This is the sales process. A discovery session leading to a sale is a technique for discovery. There's no attachment in a discovery session to proving yourself as the best coach or, I could do this for you. It's not about that. It's not about making a sale to pay your rent or, I need the money. You don't bring desperate energy to a discovery session. It's truly a beautiful conversation between two people to explore if your services are right for them. And my clients are always telling me that this single thing alone is the biggest shift in them getting clients. One of my clients in particular, she doesn't have a website, she doesn't have an online presence at all, and she was just raving. I might have shared this with you last week, I'm not sure. She was just raving how she now that she just knows how discovery sessions work and they're not just about someone's health, they're not just about a sale, they're not, she's just now confident, loving having conversations with people, but knowing the strategy, how to do that to convert to a sale that benefits the client. She's now just getting regular clients, ongoing, from conversations she's striking up with people because she's that much more willing to do so because she's not scared that she's looking salesy. And I think I did share briefly a little bit of her story last week on how she's literally saying the biggest shift is that now she's got more energy. Not only because the clients and money are flowing, it's just that whole, again, primary food. When you've got fear in one area that's shoving down, whether it's the career or the money, for her, that's what's lit her up. And she's really excited, but it's all come back because she's learned not to be scared of a sales conversation. You know, the biggest thing that I see with health coaches, especially new health coaches, is this feeling of wanting to over-deliver, to prove their worth as being a great coach. And this in turn can actually leave clients too full, or feeling like they've had a great coaching session. Wow, you're wonderful. Thank you. I feel great. I don't need any more. You know, let me think about it. I don't know that I'm needing that anymore. So doing an initial sales conversation, either over-giving, over-delivering, or in desperation of money, can actually harm the client more than good. And when I say harm, you know what I mean. It's not like you're making them, I don't know, not harming, but on some level you are, right? Because if they've got a serious issue and you know that it would take a 12-week coaching session, and you dive into showing them all your best stuff in a first session to prove, hey, you should pay me, they're not really going to feel they need 12 sessions, and they're going to walk away feeling good, and a week later, the initial problems come back, and the opportunity's gone. So, you know, my final piece on sales calls that I'll just share with you today is the biggest thing that people hear is, oh, but I don't have the money. Again, money is always this piece that needs healing, I think, in the world. But the truth is that 90% of people do have money. And the truth is, if you get to the end of a sales conversation and they say that, 90% of people, when they say, I have to think about the money, it's a bit expensive, let me think about the money, like these are the most common objections. And there's different ways to deal with all of these. But 90% of people do have money, and they just haven't been convinced that this is imperative for them to spend money on. And this comes full circle. You really need to believe in yourself and your services as a health coach to help them see that it is going to make an impact on their world. So I hope from going through those points today that you've got more clarity on what you should be charging as a health coach. I know that how I share it, it's not the way that anyone's talking about, and unfortunately that's because people like to buy a set solution. You know, people like to buy a $100 e-course that says, you should be charging this much, here you go, and then they wonder why it doesn't work. It needs to be personalized. And I hope that you can also now see how really your value over time, learning to lift what you charge as a health coach, it's part of us collectively stepping up and being part of the solution to other people's health. We've got this great product that really can change the health of the world, and it's our ability and our fear to sell, receive money, advertise, marketing, which is actually holding that healing back from happening in the world. And the third point, I hope that you have a clearer insight on how your relationship with money and wealth is actually affecting not only your health, but it's actually affecting your happiness. And if you're really honest, you know, if I gave you $1,000 today, you had to spend it today, it wouldn't really be that bad. You know, people make money bad, but, you know, most of us, if we forced ourselves to, could probably enjoy that. So I hope that today's conversation has expanded your mind. Clients often say to me that coaching with me is a bit like going to the gym. Like, you know, if it hasn't expanded them and stretched them, well, that's when they know they've got results and the breakthroughs are coming. And I know that money can be one of those topics. So I wanted to expand that conversation into some new possibilities about getting your wealthy healthy, and the need to up your value in the world as a health coach to truly create change as the leaders you're meant to be. And, you know, don't go freaking out. It's largely old conditioning and beliefs that are stopping you receiving what you do deserve. And along with a real drive and passion to create change and the business structures, this is as possible for you as it is anyone else doing it. It's as possible for you as it is for me. There's nothing, we're going to talk about that again. I can't wait for next week. You know, like we're going to talk about, there's a very different way of building a business in this way. Then sure, some people do get overnight success. They were on a radio or they got a book deal or whatever. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about creating your own reality, really, in your business through effective structures, solid structures, and getting our wealth healthier to be able to really thrive in that way. So make sure you sign up for next week's call. Just like last week, you do have to sign up again. I'll get Youre to put that link in the chat box now, and I'll put it in the Facebook group as well. For anybody who hasn't already come and joined us in the private Facebook group, I have thoroughly enjoyed being in there all week. Thank you, everybody, for getting in, introducing yourself, sharing what's going on, getting to know each other. I highly recommend to keep that up, because honestly, who you surround yourself with is a large part of this game. And, you know, I always forget the exact words of the quote, but along the lines of basically your success is the direct reflection, really, of, I think it's the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I know this to be absolutely true in my life. Like the mentors I've chosen to work with, mastermind groups I've chosen to place myself in, when you're around people going in the direction that you are, you can't help but go there too. And a lot of it is around these mindset and beliefs, you know, seeing that it's possible, seeing, you know, one of my clients, my private clients, I've now put them in a group together to experiment with this even more and more. And absolutely, it's amazing how many people say to me, oh, well, I was charging this much, but I saw someone else was charging this, and they're just doing the same as me, and I'm meant to be charging that much. And they go out and get the clients. Or they're surrounded by other people, realizing they're just normal people just like them, going through the same kind of thing. And when we kind of get this conversation going, oh, I see, she got a client from having that conversation. I'm going to try that too. So there's something about like group energy that is just so underestimated in this world. Like, you know, parents, friends, even partners, they don't really, they're probably not trying to condition their positive way like this. And they can challenge us and they can tell us it's not, you know, we're crazy, or stop wasting your time on that. When you actually literally surround yourself by people going in the same direction, like that, there's just power behind that. So get in that Facebook group, keep that going, keep that vibration high. As I shared last week, it's a place for positivity. It's a place for the question of, what can I do next? It's a place for the question of, how can I do this even better? It's not a place to turn around and point fingers at what you haven't already got or why anything isn't working. Such a different energy in that. Like, what's next is the question, you know, I'd like to see people asking. So I'll check the chat box in a minute, but both those links should be in there for you to join our Facebook group and also for next week's call. Next week's call is going to be an exciting one. It is about this fraud syndrome, why people don't feel expert enough. Again, just like pricing, I'm going to show you things where you should step up your expert nature, but also to get really honest. You know, sometimes people are over-promising, and that's where the fear's coming in. And next week's going to be a little more hands-on. We're going to have a worksheet, so you're literally going to make some breakthroughs in that session, and there will still be plenty of time for Q&As. And so in a moment, I'm going to go over to the chat box. And for those who have been emailing me and asking, I've seen a few in the chat box as well, about ways to work with me. Like I said before, one-on-one I am currently booked. There's 1 or 2 spots that might come up in a month or two, depending on what current clients you know, choose to renew or not. So, but for now, I don't have it yet to share with you. There's nothing on my site, but because so many people have been asking, I'll just, you know, let you in on it. I am creating a intimate mastermind program for a small group of health coaches. This is purely for people who are like, absolutely, I don't know how to make this work for myself. I don't have the tools. I know I've got to work on my money. I know I've got to work on my beliefs, but nothing's going to get in my way. Tell me how. That's the energy of the people who will be invited to be in that group. And like I said, I don't have all the details here right yet, but it's what I'm creating is honestly the dream program that I wish had been available for me when I started my business. The reason I don't really have it mainly is because there's some really exciting new aspects that have just come in, even in the last week, of what are going to be added to that. It keeps continuing to expand, and new things are kind of dropping in by the day. It's almost there. You know, the main reason I'm creating an intimate mastermind is to really, for those people who really know their time is now to get this going, to surround yourself with people on the path, like I just said, is huge. And to really get all the tools that aren't being taught out there, a lot more in depth of what we talked about last week. And if nothing more, like absolute commitment to, I'm in the game now and I'm making this work. You know, that is the energy of what that group will be. There'll be absolute highest end accountability, laser coaching, a lot of training. So I'll have more details for that. I'm hoping I'll have it for our third call next week, but let's see. But I wanted to let you know that is coming. So that is the way that it will be coming. It also makes it a more accessible way to work with me. And yeah, if you've got any questions about that, feel free to answer. I may or may not be able to answer those yet, but hold tight. So I think that is it. I've got so many questions here that people have emailed me during the week, but I want to put priority on those of you who are on the call live with us today, because that in itself, I know that not everyone can make live trainings. The amount of trainings I watched the next morning, because they were, you know, in the middle of the night for me when they were in America or Europe. But I do want to, you know, people who are here are obviously committed, obviously the driven ones. If you're here for the second week, like, you know, I can see a number of you are here again. This is what I'm talking about, people who are going to make it happen no matter what. They're on every call, they're asking the questions, you know, all of these things. So, you know, let's get the questions that are coming in the chat box here, and then I'll see how we go for time to get to the ones that have come in during the week. Okay. First, oh, hold on, maybe I should start from the bottom or I might miss them. I love technical issues. Webinar Jam is, I love this software. Most of my clients are now starting to use it as well. Anytime you get a lot of people and technical things, you know, there's nothing more I can really say to people who are saying, you know, that they're having to refresh, etc. I'm sorry that you know, was your experience early on, and I hope everyone got that sorted. Okay, what have we got? Okay, Leah, that's so Leah's question is, what should we actually be doing to get our wealthy healthy? Do I have an exercise to stretch our ideas, feeling around money, or just really giving it thought? The truth is there's a lot of things. You know, literally you being on this conversation today and soaking up that conversation that I was talking about, like you could listen to that every day for the next 2 weeks, and that would be continually expanding your mindset. There are exercises that I work through with clients, and you know, will be in this mastermind as well. They're not something I can really do live on the webinar, and not to serve everybody, because everybody, like, you know, you could write a book this thick on individual money mindset blocks. This is why it's so intricate. But what I would suggest, Leah, is pick up the book. I mentioned it last week, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. And, you know, if you do nothing more, read that and read that and read that. That's a bit like listening to me, you know, talk but much more in depth. And what I would recommend is every time you, and this is for everyone, every time you hear something that either triggers you or maybe makes you a bit angry, or you're like, oh, that's not for me, or that's rubbish, that's the piece to go into. So, you know, in your journal, get out a journal and maybe write thoughts about money. You know, some people journal and then burn the piece of paper with all their negative things about money. There's so many techniques, but pick up that book. That's a good place to start. Okay. Okay. The question is here, do I open a separate business account or do I accept payments into my personal account, and when? Michelle, I don't know what country you're in, because this is slightly different. I know in Australia, which I know well compared to my clients who are in America. Ideally, yes, open a business account from day one. If it's not a full, proper business account, at least have an account. Like, there's no way that you can, after a while, track that. But more importantly, there's a piece, like, in my training that I do of really getting intimate with your money. And it's about really seeing, like, the money that's coming into your business, where money's going out, what you're spending, all this thing. And it needs to be clean. It needs clean channels. It needs to know where it's coming. And so, yes, I would say as soon as you can, set up a business account. The only reason that I would hesitate on that at all when I just thought through that for you is because sometimes business accounts have large monthly fees. And if you're not really using it much, I don't know where you're at in your business, then you could just have a separate personal account. That's what I did for a long time until I moved everything over to an official business account. I hope that helps. I mentioned renewals. Is my program 6 months long, and when do I renew them? Yes, my current one-on-one program is 6 months long, and renewal for my clients happens right at the end of 6 months if I feel that it's a good fit for them to keep working with me, and if they feel it's a good fit to keep working with me, then we do that at the end. And sometimes it's an option of, is it another 6 month program for them, or is it a bi-weekly instead of weekly? Like, sometimes at that stage, you know your clients so well after 6 months. You really know what they need. But in general, I've found that when clients renew with me, they renew for the whole thing because by that stage they know, what's working for them, and they know that they want to go that much further. But it's always different. Okay. The book that's my favorite is The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Waddell. No Like Trust Factor is not the book. No Like and Trust Factor is, it's more in marketing sense. It's more a marketing term, that phrase, which is that people will buy from you when they know you, like you, and trust you. And last week we talked a little bit about how that is increased when people meet you in person at the start of your business. Yvonne, I'm not quite clear on your question around starting half or so as a student and then increasing. I think you mean pricing. Again, price where you're at. Like, if I was still studying, it's easy to say I know in hindsight because it takes time to get your confidence, but I'd get out there and coach for free now. And then as soon as you start to get confident and have more clients, then lift it to just whatever feels right. When I keep saying free, I don't encourage anyone to sell for free. I should reiterate that. It's more, if that's where your belief's at, that's where your belief's at. I went away for 3 weeks earlier in the year, and I had a number of clients who were new and were still at that stage of not believing people would pay. So I sent them out and said, then go get free clients. Let's prove this piece that it's only about the money. And one client came up with 12 clients, and others, 4, 3, 5, that kind of thing. So charge where you're at. There really isn't a ballpark. Look, if you want a ballpark, you can. Okay. How about this? Free is if you really don't believe that people are going to pay for it. Yet it's undeniable that when you charge, people are going to value it more, which is why over time you want people who value your services. So if there was a ballpark, it's not at all that your ballpark should be, say, $75 if the local naturopath charges that. It's not that. However, in your current mindset and belief, that might be your belief of where you should be charging. So most people go to that point of what they think professionals in the health field are charging, and then depending on where they're at, they either drop a bit back from there or a bit over, depending on your own beliefs. So I guess if we had to choose a number for a ballpark, start there, but I wouldn't do that at all from a place of thinking you should charge that because they do. It's very different. Again, charging per session or per month is, it kind of comes down to who you're coaching, how you feel. Coaching in general is not charged per session. It's either charged per package. So like this is the price for a 12-session package, or it's charged like on an installment plan. So for example, you know, it's $1,000 for 12 sessions, or it's $200 a month. So it's a little bit more on a monthly. That's the common way with coaching. Again, it can be, you know, different. How do we get rid of struggle? Let me know what kind of struggle you're talking about, and I'll see if I can help you with that a little bit more. How soon should we set up things like PayPal and such to accept credit card payments? All of these things actually take time in your business. So in some ways, like as soon as possible. The only thing, it's a bit like the bank account before. Eventually, you're going to need it all. And you're actually better to do it before than after. One of my favorite lines that I learned, and it helps me at every level, is, you know, for example, if you were just starting out, what would the business owner or the woman who makes $5,000 a month do? And then you take that leap because, again, no one's going to hand you that expert status or that 5K a month. You've got to create that. So you ask that question, what would the health coach who makes $5,000 a month do? And if she would go set up a PayPal account and a credit card, which I can tell you she would, then go do it now. The only reason that I would say not to, it's the same as the bank account, is I don't think that you want to be paying large monthly fees, etc., if you don't have to. So there is a fine line, but you want to be pro, you know, and PayPal is awesome for that. I've got different like scheduling systems, etc., that I work with which integrate with PayPal. Yeah, so look into those. Again, scheduling's a big one. Like, it's only so long that you can schedule people by email when clients are wanting to change sessions, etc. Okay, Yvonne, I think I answered your question now. That yeah, when you graduate, you can charge more. Like but it's not about graduating. It's about how you'll feel when you've already got clients. Then you've graduated. You'll feel more confident. You've always got to charge where you feel right. Should you get insurance from day one? Again, what would a woman making $5,000 a month do? And same as my other answer. If you're not making any money yet, you know, and it's going to cost you a lot of money. I understand that no one wants to outlay for all these things until the money comes in, but what would the woman who makes $5,000 a month do? She would run a professional business. She would understand that health coaching isn't something that is done for free. It's like every other business. You do need to set up structures. You do need equipment, you know, all those kind of things. I mean, we're pretty lucky. We actually don't need equipment. We need a good computer. And but there are certain systems and softwares and things that, yeah, you know, bank accounts, insurance. This is being in business. And again, this is why we do need money to run a business. These things cost. And honestly, like insurance, it's one thing that can help you with your confidence as well. Not just insurance, getting your contracts done by a lawyer. I just got all my new set of contracts done yesterday for this new program when it's coming. And there's just something just so relaxing and expensive knowing that, you know, all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed, like that you're fully covered, both insurance-wise and contractually. It's actually just clean energy from my perspective instead of, I don't know, like I hopefully haven't heard of anything going wrong in health coaching, but who knows, you know. Thanks for the recommendation of the book. Someone says How to Win Friends and Influence People also has the know, like, and trust factor in it. That's great to know. Believe in fair exchange. So would you ask for something in return, money, service, products, etc.? Then I would just charge money. Free is only for people who genuinely don't feel, I guess, worthy enough yet to charge for their services. I would prefer you to charge a lower amount of money than swapping. People do it, again, start where you're at, but in the long term, you want money exchanged for your product. It can get messy when there's exchanges for products or services. When do I ask for referrals from my current clients, and how often do I ask? Michelle, I now have a system, I guess you'd call it, from both my business perspective as well as for my clients, where my clients are actually all interviewed by an external lady when we first start working together on all their goals, all their what they're wanting out of working with me, why they signed up. So I've got a lot of data to see like what people are struggling with to start with. Even though I know that, it's great to have it recorded. And then she actually does a follow-up, which is a follow-up so that I've got before and after case studies. It's a lot of what's built this upcoming program is by seeing all the feedback and seeing what people are getting the most results from, etc. But at that stage, she takes their testimonial. So 9 out of 10 clients I do that way. But when does she get back to them? She gets back to them when I finish my coaching sessions. And if I was to improve on anything, it's that, well, I have discovered in 6 months, like I now personally ask for testimonials along the way, because some of those big breakthroughs in the first even few weeks are forgotten as you move on and bigger and bigger. But sometimes, and I see this with my own clients and their clients, if you leave it too long, you kind of want to get it as quick as possible at the end, because people do forget and they take it for granted. All of us, when we grow, can almost forget how much we were struggling, 6 weeks ago or 12 weeks ago. So in here it says, starting to visualize how I'm going to move forward in my business and notice that I'm visualizing it as a struggle. Somebody said to me years ago, if you expect it to be a struggle, it always will be. And if you know that it will be a success, it will be. And it's a decision point. I would encourage you to look at where that belief came from, where you first struggled, or where something didn't work out and was a struggle, and go back and see that before that wasn't there. And equally right now, you can, if you choose, it's a decision, remove that from your belief system right now. Some people can literally see that and switch it off. If not, start doing affirmations, visualizations, meditations, whatever it takes, over and over again to know that your business will succeed. There's nothing, someone said this to me, or I heard them saying it to someone, I love it, I think it was my mentor. There's nothing special about you. You know what I mean? Like, you are human just like I'm human, just like my clients are human. You're not so special that this won't work. What's special is it is the ego, and it's why I laugh. And I hope you see this in the way that I do. But there's nothing about you that won't work of anyone else. What it is the mindsets and beliefs that it's going to be a struggle. If that's your belief, that's the track you're going to go down, go down, go down. Choose to create a new belief and go that way instead. And yeah, it doesn't mean that you're going to end up over there straight away, but a 2 millimeter difference over a year of growing your business is going to send you in a very different direction. So yeah, can't wait to hear how that goes for you. Change your mind now. You are going to be a success. It's true. Okay, so I'm launching a pantry makeover and supermarket tours and can't agree on prices. I've been looking at what's out there. There's your answer. Don't look at what's out there. Seriously. How can I know the right price without comparing, undercharging or overcharging, but offering a great deal where people recognize its value? Pricing is so hard to do via chat box. This is where in the new program everything's going to be live via video, so I can really work with people one-on-one on their pricing. Let me see if I can help you on that. I don't think I can. Can you flick me an email? You're in Australia, so maybe we can just jump on the phone during the week for 5 minutes and help you with that piece. I'm happy to help you with that because I don't know what else to say other than what I've already told you in the training, which is it's got to be what feels right for you. But yeah, there are other factors. So I can't help you come up with that number without knowing how it's feeling for you. And I need to check in energetically at different price points. There's kind of no other way. Ooh, my battery's getting low. That'll be interesting. Do you know an app or software to keep track of expenses? Yes, I do. Hold on a second. The one that I used for a very long time was called, I think it's this one, iSpending. I'm pretty sure that's the one I was using. Yeah, it just looks a bit different because I haven't been using it. Okay. Janice, it's really nothing to do with charging as much as a college doctor or anything like that. It's the question that Alina asked last week about Eastern Europe. I was thinking about this a bit in the week. People do have money in countries where we don't expect them to, or they'll find it. And at the same time, we can help people. You know, I've had a few questions this week about charities and that kind of thing. We can help people so much more when we help ourselves first. And although it's very unique to different people, sometimes it might be that you take on some high-end clients who are willing and able and like dying to pay you good money first, and that you, if it's really that important to you, use that money to fuel, you know, a different kind of charity program or social program, etc. It's a very complex one. It's not for me to sit here and say that your money mindset is going to change the whole of Eastern Europe to be able to pay for your $10,000 program, because that's not reality at all. But you should be charging what feels right for you. There's just no other shortcut for it. Linda asks, is one free session enough to offer or need to offer more? A couple of my clients who did free sessions, like I said, when I was away, offered like 3. So not like the whole session, but offered 3 and then have gone on to upsell them to their program from there, because by then their confidence had lifted. They knew that the people wanted to work with them, etc. Wondering who my mentors are. I've worked with a lot of online mentors. Currently, I've been working with, oh, is this video gone funny? I know, I've caught up. Currently, for most of this year, I've been working with Gina DeVee, who highly, highly respect and have learned a lot of the wealth consciousness from. And I've worked with a lot of different online mentors over the years. Keep putting your questions in the chat box, guys. That's the end of the questions that are there now. I don't know why my battery just completely dropped from like 20 to 5%. So I'm going to replug it in, and then I'm going to go through the questions that have been emailed over the weeks. So if you want to, you know, stay and get those too, you always learn so much from hearing other people's questions, so don't underestimate that. But I do just need a set to, I don't know why I ran out of battery, so I'll just do it now. There we go. Now I can sit here as, oh, sorry, as long as you like. All right, any other questions? Maybe we don't have any. I will go through. To continue your question, Lauren, other mentors, I've actually worked with a range of people. I think it's what makes my coaching quite unique, is that I've worked with people from like deep spiritual healing mentors right through to some people who would be really far too extreme online marketing, like almost in that sleazy salesperson, role. I consciously chose to work with some people like that, knowing that it didn't fully align with me, but knowing that I needed to bring some of those tools back to our community. And also a lot of those tools I learned in my advertising days. But I've also worked with quite a lot of people, actually. When I put up the page, hopefully this week for that program, I'm going to mention all who I've worked with and the trainings I've done, so you'll get more of that. I mentioned energy at the beginning of the webinar. Can you say the name again? Energy? Were you talking about the Queen archetype? Explain more your question, Michelle. I'm not quite sure. Okay, I'm going to pull up some of these questions that have been emailed during the week. Okay. What mistakes do I see health coaches making in investments building their businesses? Honestly, I do get it, that at the beginning it's this thing of, well, I don't have a lot of money, so I can't invest in a lot, that kind of thing. But what I see people doing is investing in a whole lot of small, like online e-courses where they don't take action, there's no accountability, and it seems like a cheap option at the moment, but they end up buying 20 of them that year anyway and not actioning any of them and not really actually getting any further ahead. Like they learn a whole lot of tools, but they don't really know how to apply that to their business. That's kind of, to me, a lot of waste of money. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've bought a lot of those, but the online e-courses, most of them, you just don't take action. When you add up all the time you spent and the time wasted as well as the money, you're better to invest it either in a one-on-one coach or in a high-end like mastermind like I've done a few times. But I get it. At the beginning, that's not always an option. So that is, in my opinion, where people, when you ask them mistakes, I think you're almost better to save for one solid thing. And also the other thing I see is people working with too many different mentors. I've shared that I've worked with a lot of different ones, but always at different times or always consciously of the mix. Because everyone has a different opinion and a different method, and to really get the most out of who you're learning from, it's like you want to go for it. It's why I get a lot of clients when you asked, someone asked before about renewals, I get a lot of clients renewing because when they find something that works for them, like stick with it. You don't need to go jump and, it's like shiny object syndrome to be jumping person to person. But equally, you work with the person for the period you're in, and then what do you need next, I had quite a few questions during the week about what you should charge for workshops because we talked about workshops last week. It really does depend on your intent. I know in general, I said last week, like we were talking about doing workshops as a form of getting discovery sessions and getting more people into your sales funnel. So in general, you can do those for free or low cost, to get people in to hear your message and sign up for a discovery session for a bigger program. The reason we talked about that was because they do increase the know, like, and trust factor. People who come along are interested, they want to hear more, and then they want to apply it for themselves. So that's that type of workshop. Some of my other clients, I've got one in particular who we happened to do it about 3 hours after I got this call last week. I had her coaching session, and it was quite ironic because the whole business model that we've made for her is purely on workshops. And to do that sustainably, it needs to be something more than just sporadic workshops. It needs to be much more of a strategy of how you will do that as an ongoing workshop model. And then you charge like good rates for them, just like your coaching. So I hope that helps. I know there was a lot of questions around that. I got a question about how do you get corporate clients. We talked last week about really needing to understand your clients inside and out. You know, 90% of what I can answer for any how do I get XYZ client is you've got to go out and talk to them, interview them, ask them, find out like what happens. You know, when I was in corporate, we used to get people in as speakers and all that kind of thing. But there are some things, right? When you get to know corporate workers, I know them quite well. It was my first target market were corporate workers before I expanded on it. Corporate workers, think of the mindset. They don't watch videos all day because they're behind their desk and they would need sound and whatever, but they read blog posts. That's different than an entrepreneur who tends to be at home, watches videos all day. So there's a different, like getting to know your target market is a different way that you'll, like market to them. Free workshops and offices or networking events, creating your own networking events for corporate workers. Those are really popular ways to get in front of corporate workers, HR departments, all that kind of thing. And then going deeper into your ideal client, because personally, when I first worked with corporates, they started driving me a little bit crazy because they were too busy to take action. I mean, they were just like I was, before. And when I refined my niche to corporates who are truly invested in improving their health, that made me realize my corporate women, the ones who are already proactively wanting to do the work and improve their health, where are they? They're at yoga. They're at Pilates. They're at the farmers markets on Saturday mornings. She's already exploring healthier options. So you've got to really know your client. That's different just the other corporate workers who were blaming the system and, no, I have to keep working hard, and very different type of person that you're marketing to. And what I found in that market is the first part, the previous, was I started feeling like I had to convert them. I didn't consciously think that, but it felt heavy to me to try and convince people who didn't care about their health to improve it. Whereas people who wanted to know, they were the ones I loved working with. In fact, that is more and more why I started attracting health coaches and how things, unfolded from there. It's really no shortcut on how to find your client other than to know who you want to work with and get out and get to know them and ask them. Okay. There's another question that's come in. It's, what's a good income as a coach? I think I've probably covered a lot of that today. In some ways, just like pricing, what's a good income for you? From a wealth consciousness perspective, you can receive what you truly own as your desire. So from this perspective, if you can get by $500 a week, then that's probably all you're going to be motivated to go out there and sell. And if you get honest about your desire to buy a new juicer or to get a new personal trainer and you're so excited, it's like a white heat, I really want that in my life, I didn't know, I never thought it was possible, you're much more likely to take the actions to go out there and sell to get new clients. And that's an example where I said right at the beginning of the webinar, when I say that, so many people fall into the fear of, oh, that's being selfish, I'm selling to get my personal trainer. Not at all. Your desires come first and foremost in everything in life. And like I said at the beginning, there's no question on your integrity. We know that you didn't get into health coaching to become a millionaire. You could have stayed in your corporate job or whatever. We know that the business is to help others, but it's also time to realize that it's to help you. So I guess, to answer that question, what's good income as a coach? In more practical terms, I work with my private clients working towards their 5K months consistently. This is a stretch for beginners. Most clients on average, when working with me consciously in this way, take about 3 to 4 months to receive their first 5K. It depends. I gave you an example before of the client who's got a massage business and incorporated some detoxes, and I think I don't have the exact numbers, but it's something like she lifted from 4K months to 8K months, in the first month or so. That's a little bit different, but if you're literally starting from scratch, to me, that is an awesome income to work towards. And from there you can grow. From there you will learn that you are creating your reality. You'll also have all the structures in place. You'll outgrow your prices, that kind of thing. So just like the pricing, I know everyone wants me to give you a price of what you should be charging. It is the same for your income, but there's a reason I try, like my goal for most clients is 5K. It's always their goal. A lot of clients start with me, they're like, no, that's too much. Like, I want to build this on the side, and my goal is 2K or 3K. And, you know, there's no judgment on a number. But there's no doubt in my mind that health coaches can make that and beyond, which is why I put it there. You know, I've got a good friend who's making over $50,000 a month with her health coaching certification. Depending on a few things, one of those things I said, still in the mix, it's dropping in by the day. She's most likely going to be a guest expert in my upcoming mastermind to absolutely show on many levels the wealth consciousness piece that's come into purely health coaching business, making that much money. And she's not a well-known name by any means. You know, it's not an online celebrity factor where she's got 1 million followers that have caused that. Yeah, that's one of the little surprises that will be coming in the program. Okay, I did get another question about the women's shelters, etc. I hope that I've kind of answered that. There's a quote in Wallace Wattles' book, Science of Getting Rich, that says the only way, it's not, I'm paraphrasing, the only way to really help those in poverty is to show them what's possible by first doing it yourself. And again, look, I'm not expecting to change one country from one person, and this is where we start with our own little ripple effect. But your expansion in the world, you expanding into who you're truly meant to be. By the way, money is a natural human desire to expand. So when people say they don't desire it, they are actually denying their truth of expansion as a human. It's purely what we are. So you expand yourself in the world. Your leadership, your higher frequency will create much bigger shifts than playing small. When you do this in a smart way, you know, you create the wealth to fuel your life and your freedom. When you've got this wealth stream coming in and you don't have to work as many hours and you've got more flexibility, then you can help those less fortunate as part of that freedom lifestyle. And, you know, don't get me wrong, from all this wealth consciousness that we're talking about today, you do need the correct business models, target markets, all the pieces we talked about last month to come in to get like these 5K months and beyond. But there's no point. Let's get a reality. Don't go creating 5K programs for people who can't afford to buy dinner. You know, like, there's different pieces. Someone emailed and asked me to talk about expenses that most health coaches might not expect. I actually think people spend too much on fancy websites. I mentioned before, like small online courses, etc. You know, if you're at that stage, do all the free webinars you can get. There's plenty of content. Like, if you were to follow through on the things that I shared last week alone, and do it, you know, and you're able to do that without accountability, etc. When you're very first starting out, do that. You know, in the upcoming mastermind that I'll be running, it will be a complete course of everything you need to get your business up and running. You know, we're going to use all my private resources to get you good-looking sites really cheaply and effectively, like a couple of $100, you know, not thousands. I just see people waste so much money on, I'm going to make this fancy website and beautiful thing, and I'm going to blog forever, and then wonder why clients and money hasn't come in. To me, get yourself in the game, get coaching, get confident. Yes, have a professional presence, but then when that money comes in, that comes to fuel that next level. I think people get it the wrong way around. And again, I think that comes from that like online celebrity syndrome where they see something and think, when I've got that shiny object, then I'll be successful. And it happens the other way around. I also see beginners give up because they've invested in the wrong things. You know, I've seen people work with a coach that didn't work out, or see them working in like online programs, and they freak out because they didn't get the return on investment early on, and then they've got no money left to keep going. So on that note, though, look, let's get into reality. Running a business takes money. You know, it takes time and it takes money. And I remember freaking out, like when I first invested in my mastermind last year, like, oh my gosh. But on all the levels that we talked about today, like every time I've invested, it's shifted things through. And, that's the accountability that you get and moving forward. But it does take money, but in the beginning, it's being smart what you put that money into. I think that health coaches are better to invest in good quality training, but also then things like advertising, like Facebook ads. Learning to master Facebook ads is something that I'm big on with my clients. When you get those running like really well and consistently, your numbers lift. Like, people on your newsletter list, cheap, you've got people on the list forever, and, it's a really cheap, easy way to do it when you know how. So I would rather people put money into that than some other things, that people do. Yeah. I hope that answers that. It's a little hard to. Someone said, is it possible to make millions as a health coach? Any business has the potential to make good money. Absolutely. But what I want to get very clear is that it's not, when you get handed your graduation certificate as a health coach, that doesn't make you a millionaire. It's one of the biggest misconceptions of online business that I think stops people building step by step, is that they're expecting this first thing that they do to be so grandiose and overnight millionaire, that they are sitting on the sidelines waiting until they've got that big idea or that big something on that fancy website, instead of step by step by step. But the truth is that when you follow what's true for you, like you follow like what's coming from you, from your heart, what you're meant to be serving, what you really desire, and when you start listening to your own desires of what is needed in your life, and you learn the things that I'm talking about, like absolutely, I'm not going to do the figures on what it takes to be a millionaire as a health coach, but like I shared, I know people in health coaching making very good money. Let me just check. Someone asked, why do I promote 5K months for health coaches, and is that realistic? I think I covered that before. For me, it's a number that's not easy to get to. Like, you don't just fall out of your health coaching business and make 5K months. It's a really awesome goal for people to work towards, and when they have to do the work that we've been talking about here, the building the business pieces, the wealth consciousness, and the mindset of next week. When they do that and realize that they're creating that, it's a really good number that when you do that for like 3-4 months in a row and start to get consistency, because anyone can manifest like a one-off $5,000 month, I guess, but when you start to do that consistently, absolutely, it is my experience that is realistic. Like, those are the numbers that my clients are getting, and I shared before that it doesn't happen overnight. It does, depending on where people have been at. It tends to take, it's around the 3 to 4 month mark when I see that people start getting to that number. If I only had $1,000 to spend setting up my health coach business initially, what would I put that on? Knowing what I do now, I'd put it on Facebook ads, but there's a step, I guess, to know how to do sales funnels and marketing funnels. So if I only had $1,000, then I would. If I only had $1,000 and that was the truth, that I could only genuinely spend $1,000, I would probably use it running workshops and Facebook ads, because that business model that I showed you last week is you have no business without new people coming into your funnel. The minute I had more than that, I would invest in a good mentor, but I don't know to be, I mean, there's all different mentors, don't get me wrong, but if I only had $1,000 that was genuine, I would either do that, or some coaches, I do them occasionally. Some coaches will do like a smaller intensive, like I'd spend a couple of hours with someone getting like an initial plan for a few months until I had money to invest more. How to balance spending and investing in business when you don't have the cash and are investing by way of loan or debt. Practical ways to be in an abundance mindset when you have very limited financial resources. again, there is a bit of a reality here that there's not many successful businesses in the world that don't invest. I don't think there's any business in the world that doesn't use a credit card or have something on a credit card. And yet we come into this health coaching business, and like I said, it doesn't even really cost us anything in the way of actual, like we don't need to pay rent or we don't need equipment, and we almost expect that it should just happen and come flowing to us without investing. I met a guy last year through the health coaching scene who was setting up a paleo restaurant chains, and he shared with me how many years it was going to take at a very high loss before that was going to make money. And, you know, he worked on big businesses worldwide, this guy. And that's how people running a business think. And it is the different mindset in a business and a hobby. And it's the same way I get that can be a little confronting, and you don't want to go spiraling into debt. There's a lot of trust, actually. I was interviewed yesterday. My mind just went to this. I was interviewed by my mentor, Gina, and she asked me to share because she said, well, you would have been pretty skeptical at the beginning. You know, like when you were working on the more wealth pieces. I was like, yeah, like it's so easy to look at other people and say, well, it works for them and it won't work for me, you know, that kind of thing. But it's very, in my experience, it's very hard to get a successful business going without any investment at all. But I did just share, if you've got $1,000, you know, that's where I would spend it. And then practical ways to be in an abundance mindset when you have very limited financial resources. This is a lot of the money mindset stuff that I work on. It's, I don't know, like it's just a quick little tip. Over and over, out loud, writing down, I have plenty of money for the things that I desire right now. I have plenty of money for the things I desire right now. And one of the little tricks is that money doesn't come, for example, because you want a 5K month. It becomes because you must have the things that month that will light you up that are going to cost 5K. Little trick there. There's no manifesting a 5K month that will ever happen purely so that you can do it, because that's actually on a competitive plane. It's about creating in your business, and it's got to come from what you desire, burning white heat. Why do you need that money this month? And the universe will provide when you get into your abundance mindset that there's no lack of money, which is the truth. There's a question in here again about trading services. You heard me say before, I'm not a big fan, but again, there's no rule book in business, you know, and I'm certainly not your mum or anything like that. Like, if it feels good for you to do a swap, do a swap. But in general, I would prefer money exchange. Someone asked me, IIN, which is one of the main health coaching programs, has a 6-month program. And she's saying, like, is that a good time frame for results? But questioning, is that what appeals to clients? This is why I mentioned it earlier, but we haven't gone into it in this training series. This is why, to me, it's really important to create programs that your ideal client wants. For some people, a 6-month program is not right. One of my clients, for example, works with women who are struggling to get pregnant. To give them a 6-month program, they're going to run the other way. You know, in fact, when we've really got into the mindset of that client, it needs to be a lot shorter. And when we really dug deeper and deeper in her research and what people want, she now offers like 1-day intensives, because those people want to get this sorted right now. And you tell them it's going to take 6 months? No way. But there's people on the opposite too. So it all comes back to knowing your target market. Someone asked guidelines for pricing on ebooks. I want to make it clear that ebooks can be good for your credentials and for getting your message out there, but nobody makes money off ebooks until they have lists of like 10,000 people. I only say that because it's another place I see people wasting a lot of money trying to, you know, copy what they've seen online. But ebooks are a fantastic giveaway to get people on your newsletter list. I think that's a better way to do it. But having said that, my first ebook I sold for $15. There's no right or wrong. I wouldn't go over 20. Someone's asking, like, if you want to go high end, you want to get your credibility, is it better to go, slow progression or start as you mean to go? Really, for those people who are really driven in this game, and like I said, those are the ones that I will, in a few weeks, be talking to, opening those discussions for a select number of people to work with me in that way. Like, really, it's start as you mean to go. If you're in that mindset, like I said before, like, what would the woman do today who makes $5,000 a month? And start acting that way now, because no one's going to give that to you. You need to actually choose to step into that for yourself. So I hope that helps. What percentage of your income should you budget for this? I laugh because actually the first year or so I spent pretty much all of my income on learning and investing in myself. I'm not saying that's what you have to do. That's what I chose to do. That was my desire. I just had such a strong calling, such a strong thirst to soak everything up, and I knew that it would come back much more, and it has, and there is a certain momentum to get in the game. I'm not saying you have to do that by any means. It's just what I did. And look, everyone's different. Like I said, I left my high-end job, and all of a sudden it was a bit of a shock, to be honest, not having that money. But to be totally clear, because I think someone asked me last week, yeah, I'm married. My husband was able to pay our rent and our bills, so I didn't have that desperation. And to be in full transparency as well, money always comes for a desire. So when I invested in like those coaches and masterminds in the early days, I would go out and get a freelance job in advertising. Like I wasn't making big money in health coaching to purely fuel those, but no one was paying for it either. Like my husband wasn't paying for that. It was if I was really driven to, join whether it was $2,000 for a coach or $9,000 for a program that I did, like then I went out and worked for it. So I fully believe in bridge jobs in whichever way. Like I'd left my job, but I still freelanced as an art director in ad agencies. I think that's it. I think that's all the ones that I wrote down anyway. So I'm going to double check back to the chat box. Yes, there are free online copies of Science of Getting Rich online if you desire to get them for free. There's also apps on the phone. Do I give away items to my clients? No, not anymore. Maybe in the mastermind, but that's different. How often do I meet with my clients? One-on-one business clients every week. There's too much momentum gets lost. I used to do it fortnightly. It doesn't work. That's my experience. You got to be in, like, when you're ready to go for it, which, there's ways to build your business before, obviously, before working with me. But when the people that I choose to work for it are like, I'm making this happen, let's make this happen. And then that energy needs to be like 2 weeks. If you have a freak out because of a client and you haven't got someone to hold you accountable, that can take you off track for months. You need to stay on the game, stay in the high vibration, stay in a positive belief, and keep going. That's why I coach weekly. It's not necessarily the same for all health coaching clients. So again, it depends on your ideal clients. Oh yeah, cool. The Queen Energy, Michelle. Yeah, it's the Queen Energy is pretty cool. I don't know what you want to know more about it. But yeah, being a queen. Queen is different than a princess. It's different than other archetypes. Let's talk about that to wrap up. Other archetypes that we bring into our life are the maid, the servant, very, very common ones in the healing circle, where you think that you should give and give and give and not receive, where you think that success isn't for you, where you think that you should be hiding under the shadow of other people, but it's not your game. Like I said, the princess can be a little bit more, oh, I deserve this. Like they're the ones who will try and overcharge and not understand like that it needs to be balanced. The queen, back to the things I said before, poised, there to lead, there to serve, there to create change, but knows that she needs things to fuel herself and isn't afraid to ask for them. All right, I think that's the end of all the questions. Pop on over to the Facebook group and, let's carry on the conversation in there. Definitely, over the next week, leading into this conversation next week around the fraud syndrome. And yeah, I'll sit here another minute because sometimes there is a little bit of a delay, but I think that's the end of the questions. So I hope that you've all thoroughly enjoyed today's conversation. And yeah, feel free to ask me anything during the week on the Facebook group. I'm completely there for you. So, and you know, actually, while I'm just waiting that 60 seconds, because I know sometimes there's a delay, let me just say thank you to those who put up their hands and asked the questions. One of the key reasons that I said I'm bringing in this like exclusive mastermind option is because people learn through other people's stories and experiences. So for each person who put up their hand and asked a question today, there's probably 10 people at home who got a breakthrough from that, or they didn't even know they had that issue until you brought it up. So I just want to really thank you and understand that you contributing to the community is shifting everybody forward. And for those, it's fine, you know, who don't want to ask the questions in that way, then maybe jump on in Facebook and, you know, contribute in that way. Or if that's not your thing, at least come, you know, join and like and encourage those who are asking the questions. So I believe that's the end of today. So I really look forward to seeing you all next week. Joe will put that link in to sign up for webinar 3 to make sure you're all signed up for next week. And yeah, have a beautiful weekend, whichever part of the world you're in, and I can't wait to see you again next week. See you later.